Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update tonight. Now, like I'm sure most of you watching this have seen all the videos that are doing all the rounds on social media, and people are exercising their rights. And as I said on Sunday night's video, and I touched on this on Tuesday night's radio show, that's all good and well, but it has to be done respectfully. And it appears as though there are some, only a small few, thankfully, but there are some out there that are not doing this respectfully. Okay, there are people who seem to be going out there deliberately trying to cause trouble. They're being disrespectful to the police and to shop staff, and they're basically trying to make a scene. Okay, and that is certainly not what we are here at the Know Your Rights Group about at all. Okay, and this gives legitimate groups like us a bad name when people sort of put on these posts, I learnt this from Know Your Rights Group, or I learnt this from Aussie Speeding Fines, and then the media comes in with labels of conspiracy theorists and sovereign citizens and all this rubbish, which anyone who actually knows their rights understands is actually an oxymoron, doesn't make any sense. But we need to be really careful, people. Okay, the Know Your Rights Group absolutely is all about knowing your rights, but equally, it's also about knowing your responsibilities too. You have to take responsibility for your actions. Okay? Now, it's like, look, we tell people about the Aussie Speeding Fines book. Grab this book, have a read through it. Now, there's people out there that go, okay, great, now I understand, I've read this. I realise that all fines and forfeitures before conviction are illegal and void. Section 8, subsection 12, Imperial Acts Application Act. Fantastic. Other people read this, they see all the information and they go, oh wow, there's not a single speed detection device currently in use in Australia that complies with the National Measurement Act. This has been confirmed by the Chief Metrologist of the National Measurement Institute. Great, but that doesn't mean you go crazy and just speed around lawlessly everywhere. Okay, that's not what it's about. Okay, we've got people who've grabbed the Bank Secrets book and they read through and they've got the strategies and they want to challenge things. That's fantastic. But again, take responsibility. Okay, if you're suffering financially, if you've been screwed over by the banks, yes, definitely use these strategies, to challenge those, unjust, unsecured loans. But don't be a dick. Okay, don't go and get 5 credit cards and rack them all up like crazy and then go, oh, God, I'm just going to do it and challenge it just because I can. Okay, that's not what this stuff is about. Okay, I read out a testimonial on Tuesday night's show from a lady. And she'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She'd racked up a bunch of medical bills. She'd asked the banks for assistance under hardship provisions and things like that. They refused to help her out. So then she went and got that book. Then she used the strategies in that book. And yes, great, she challenged them and she had a $26,500 credit card written off. Okay, but we need to be responsible. We need to use this information from people who are trying to use it against us unjustly and actually take away our rights. Okay, now the same principles apply to wearing masks. Okay, just because you've organised an exemption or just because you've figured out some other reason, why you don't have to wear a mask, there's no need to be obnoxious about it. Okay, there's no need to be blatant about it. Okay, I've connected with a number of people who don't wear masks. That's their choice for whatever reason. But a lot of them actually still carry one around with them in their pocket. Now, if they go into a small shop, like a small cafe, where people are in close proximity, if they notice people that are looking at them strangely, they'll just address it nice and friendly. Oh, listen, I noticed that you're looking at me a little bit strange because you're concerned that I'm not wearing a mask. I've actually got a medical exemption, but listen, I've got one in my pocket, so if you feel uncomfortable or uneasy at all, I'm happy to put it on. Now, straight away, people are, oh, no, that's fine, that's all good, no, thanks for letting me, and it just diffuses the whole situation. Okay, they don't walk in there with their cameras and, I don't have to wear a mask and I can do what I want and you can't stop me from coming into your store. I mean, that's crazy stuff. Okay, we don't want people doing that. Okay? Keep things in perspective. Know your rights, but be responsible. Be respectful, okay, of other people's positions too. Okay, and the same reason as people don't know why you're not particularly, wearing a mask, you don't know why they are. Maybe they've got underlying conditions that they're trying to protect themselves from, and they are genuinely concerned if you walk in without one. So just be respectful of other people's feelings, okay, no matter what. Now, it's the same with people filming themselves going through these checkpoints, okay, and they're belligerently like attacking the police and filming the whole thing and then putting it all up on social media. Okay, as we've said before, you shouldn't be telling the police anything. At best, all you should be doing is just asking them questions. Okay, once you understand your rights, you know the questions to ask them, let them trip themselves up. okay? But you shouldn't be telling them anything. And please, for the love of God, okay, if the police demand that you state your name and address and you've asked them, hey, do you believe that I've committed an offence? And they say yes and they start getting agitated, give them your name and address, okay? Give them it under duress. Who cares? What are they going to do with it? If it's provided under duress, they can't do anything with it. What are they going to do? Send you a fine? Okay, great. Take the fine, challenge it in court. Who cares? Okay, if you're living in fear of getting a fine or you're living in fear of going to court, in my opinion, you know better than all those people who are living in fear and wearing a mask. Okay? This is about standing in your own true power, not getting all defensive and riled up. Okay? Just be calm, be fair, be reasonable. Okay? Now, look, we said this on Tuesday night's show. By all means, if you want to record the interaction, you know, for the protection of all parties, great, do that. Let them know. Okay, but don't be belligerent about it. Let them know, tell them that you're happy to provide them with a copy of the recording if they need it, but make it clear. Listen, I'm just recording this for my protection. I'm not going to be uploading this to social media, so don't worry. Okay, and make it clear. Don't go, I'm going to make you famous, mate. If you say the wrong things, if you arrest me, I'm going to, that's crazy stuff. Okay, use common sense, use discretion, and please, above all else, be nice. Okay, these are men and women just like you guys too. All right, there should never ever be situations like what's happened to Eve Black in the media. You know, the articles on Bunnings, Karen. You know, that stuff should never happen. Okay, here's a general rule of thumb. Okay, if you've made it to the media, you probably haven't done things the best way. Okay, how do I know? Because I've done it. I've done it myself. Okay, a decade ago, I was all gung-ho when I learned about all the Aussie speeding fines information, and I went on a current affair, and I was telling everybody how wonderful it was, and I was going to change the world overnight. Okay, it doesn't work that way. All that happened was I had the police following me around, constantly pulling me over for about 12 months afterwards. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, now here at the Know Your Rights group, we've done things very differently. We've been travelling around the country, okay, for 6 years now. We've run events in every single major city around the country. We've got them actually recorded on our DVD. So if anyone wants to see, because obviously we can't do live events at the moment, but if you like learning things on video, if you like watching things, you want to do it from the comfort of your own home, pause, rewind, fast forward, go to the sections that you want. These are great, these DVDs. But the point is, we've travelled all around the country doing these events for 6 years. We've been running a free weekly radio show for 6 years. Okay, I've been doing these live video updates since, I don't know, March or April. Okay, but I'm not plastered all over the media. Okay, because we are taking the calm, sensible, rational, logical, fair, reasonable approach. Okay, and that's my recommendation to you guys out there too. Again, I've said this before, the Know Your Rights group is really big on the principle of give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but teach him how to fish and you feed him for life. Okay, people are still out there looking for a quick fix. They're looking for their 15 minutes of fame. They're trying to change the system overnight. It doesn't work that way. Okay, secret societies have been around for decades. Pedophilia and child sacrifices and child sex trafficking have been around for decades. Our own governments have been lying to us for decades. Most people have got no idea that we're operating under the colour of law, not true law, that we've been subjected to private law by way of the Unlawful Unidroit Treaty since 1973. We've got a whole chapter on Unidroit and private law in our Know Your Rights book. Most people have no idea that it even exists. Okay? We've been tricked into believing that the Queen of Australia and the corporate Commonwealth of Australia that's been registered on the US Securities and Exchange Commission are the same as the Queen as is defined in the Commonwealth Constitution and the Commonwealth of Australia as is defined in the Commonwealth Constitution. They're not the same, they're different. But all this stuff's been going on for decades. You're not just going to snap your fingers and change it overnight. Okay, now I get it. I know this is all exciting. You get your head around this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. I never knew this before. And you want to race out and you want to try it out and you want to show everyone how well you did. Okay, but the media are absolutely crucifying people at the moment. Okay, and they're actually creating more problems for themselves, the people who are doing that, but they're also creating problems for everybody else too. Because the police have been given directions now. Right, that's it. Zero tolerance. Don't let anybody through. Anyone who's not wearing a mask, no matter what, give them a fine. All these kind of things. They're being told not to exercise their discretion because people have been out there posting these videos on social media. Okay, so you're not doing yourselves or anybody else a service. Okay, quite frankly, it's all just turned into a great big shit fight. Okay, the elite are using the media to further advance their divide and conquer approach. They're getting us all to fight each other. Okay, look at all these Black Lives Matter protesters. Okay, and now of course the COVID numbers went up and there was a spike and there was all the people saying, oh, the Black Lives Matter protesters are idiots and they're spreading it, and the protesters are going, well, you're idiots because you're not doing anything about it, and they're trying to pit us all against each other rather than having us learning about our rights, learning what's really going on behind the scenes and taking action against those in power. Okay, we need to be targeting our frustrations on those who are pulling the strings, on those who are in charge. Okay, not at each other. I mean, the hateful messages that some of these people have received on social media is just appalling. Okay, no, sure, they didn't do the best thing in the best way. I get that. Okay, but the media needs to be absolutely condemned for their role in this blatant harassment and bullying. Okay, that should never be allowed to happen. How about they start, looking into and investigating, what some of the elite are doing, so what some of our, ministers are doing. Okay, but this is what they want. They want people fighting each other so that we don't uncover this. Okay, now seriously, even the most completely blind, oh, our government really loves us and really cares about us believer can see that Dictator Dan has made some monumental errors, okay, in the way that he's handled the whole crisis. Okay, now again, no matter what your personal feelings about Dan Andrews are, okay, he's just a man just doing his job. Okay, so let's keep things in perspective. But he chose to do that job and he's getting paid very handsomely for it. So now it's time for him to step up to the plate, okay, take responsibility for his monumental stuff-ups or to step down or step aside. Okay, the media should be pointing out the ways in which he has incorrectly handled things to date, rather than continuing this harassment and bullying of people like, Eve Black or Bunnings Karen. Okay, that's not going to achieve anything. Now, here's some simple facts for you. Okay, we've been locked down more harshly in Victoria than ever before. We've all been forced to wear masks for a week now. 99% of people are complying with those directives, and yet the number of cases has soared. Okay, we had something like 700 cases here in Melbourne today. This clearly demonstrates the figures, the facts, the statistics, clearly shows that locking people down further and forcing everyone to wear masks is not working. Now, you can show these statistics to a group of 10-year-olds, okay, and they can look at the numbers and they can work out that wearing masks clearly isn't the answer. We've all had masks on for a week, numbers have gone through the roof. It's not working, okay? Locking down and looking after the elderly, looking after the vulnerable, getting in charge of these aged care and healthcare facilities where people are actually dying. This is what should be our number one priority, okay? Not forcing healthy people to wear masks, okay? Do we really care about how many people test positive for a virus that 99% of people are going to recover from? Or do we care about stopping people from dying, okay, those who are vulnerable and elderly? Because they're the ones that are dying. Now here too, we need to look at this. Okay, key question. Are they dying of COVID-19 or are they dying with COVID-19? Because as I'm sure you can appreciate, there is a huge distinction. But again, the media is not out there making that distinction. These are the sort of questions that we need people to be sending in under freedom of information requests. Are these people dying with it or are these people dying of it? Now here's something really concerning. I found out about this about a week ago. I then heard it a second time, and then I heard it just yesterday a third time. Now, when I hear something a third time, it's time to really start to take notice. And that is this, that I've heard that aged care facilities, healthcare facilities, have been approaching families of people who have died, saying, we will cover your funeral expenses if you allow us to write down COVID-19 on the death certificate. Now, of course, these families are distraught. They're up for many, many thousands of dollars for funeral expenses. They figure, well, it doesn't matter. My loved one's gone. If these people are offering me money, well, of course, I'm going to take it. So we need to look at the reality of these statistics as well. Are they actually even got COVID-19 at all? Because again, I've heard some reports. Now again, I don't know if this is true or not, but it certainly warrants some further investigation. This is the sort of investigative journalism that the media should be doing. This is what they should be looking into. Okay? Again, let's focus on the vulnerable, not these blanket measures of lock everybody down and make everyone wear a mask, because A, there's no scientific prospect of success with that strategy, and B, as we've seen a week after it's been implemented, the results show that it's simply not successful. Okay, so again, let's not focus on putting masks on healthy people, 99% of whom are going to recover. Let's focus on protecting the elderly and the vulnerable. Now, there's also been a lot of different medical opinions out there. Most of you saw the video before it was taken down, I'm sure, of the group of doctors that stood out there publicly on the steps and said, listen, this whole COVID-19 crisis is not what you're being told, it's not what and they kept taking this video down, and it keeps going up, and they're taking it down, it keeps going up. There's got to be something to that. Okay, there's a lot more talk now about this hydroxychloroquine and the effects and the results that that's had. Why aren't our leaders at least investigating this stuff? Why aren't they looking into this stuff? Again, we need to write either my will letters to our members of parliament urging them to start investigating this stuff, or we need to be asking freedom of information requests saying, why haven't you looked into this? Or how have you looked into this? What results have you found? What studies have you done? Okay, we need to push those in charge to do our bidding. Now, if Andrews isn't going to step up and make these changes of his own accord, then we need to force him to. And again, you do that by sending them my will letters that are detailed in chapter 9 of this book. Okay, we the people have the power. We need to remind our elected representatives that they exist to do our bidding. Okay, not the other way around. All right, we need people to start invoicing the government for their losses and suffering. We need more people taking these things to court. Firstly, we need people taking these unjust and unlawful fines to court, challenging them in court, filling up the court system. And we need people making civil claims against the government for compensation that is as a direct result of these clearly ineffective directives, specifically the lockdown measures. Okay? At the end of the day, though, it's important that we all understand both our rights and our responsibilities. We, the people, need to understand our rights and responsibilities, but the members of parliament who've taken an oath to represent we, the people, they need to take responsibility for their actions as well. And we need to hold them to task, and we need to hold them to account. Because right now, especially here in Victoria and in a lot of other places around the country, the system clearly isn't working. We've got more COVID cases, we've got more COVID deaths than ever before, but we still seem to be just wanting to do more of the same, more masks, more lockdowns. Okay, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again, but expecting a different result. Are our leaders insane? Okay, let's certainly hope not. Okay, all we need to do is look at how many new speed cameras are installed each and every year around the country. How many more fines, traffic infringements are issued every year than the previous year. Okay, right across the board, the road toll is actually increasing in most states though. So more cameras, more fines, more enforcement clearly is not the answer. Equally, more masks, more lockdowns, more restrictions are clearly not the answer to this COVID crisis either. And it's up to us, through those My Will letters, to remind our elected representatives of our will in those regards. So, the final point that I want to leave you with, please, don't get too hung up on trying to educate the police or educate the shop staff. They're just following orders, and no, that's not ideal. But save your fight, save your frustration, save it for the people at the top. Okay? Don't waste energy anywhere else. Save it for the people at the top. Direct everything there. So as we head into yet another weekend of increased restrictions here in Victoria, they're bringing masks in for the whole state as of the end of this weekend. I believe other states like New South Wales are also potentially looking at increasing their restrictions as well. So I would urge you all, as always, to please get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all again on Sunday night.